Ashley.
Hi, y'all. My name is Ashley Spencer. I am an Olympic bronze medalist in the women's 400-meter hurdles. I'm a Nike professional track and field athlete. I've been running track and field since I was 13, 14 years old. Graduate from the University of Texas.
It's an honor to be talking to you. Today, we're going to talk about personal journey. We're going to talk about, just some of the things that you deal with on a personal basis, so we are going to get, I'll say it again, a little bit personal. Vulnerability as an athlete, redefining what strength looks like, and anything else that naturally comes up, but just to jump right into it. So you've made a shit ton of accomplishments in your life, right? Yeah. You work out like 5 hours a day. You got those long ass coffin nails.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Don't you love it when it's just like, yeah, so.
Yes.
Anyway, so you've had a ton of accomplishment, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of your failures? Or even if you don't want to go into some, what is one that really sticks out to you that you learned from?
Oh man, one of my biggest failures, it really kind of changed who I was as an athlete. It was my first pro meet. I'm fresh out of college and Nike throws me into the biggest Nike professional track meet, which is Prefontaine Classic. That's in Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I'm standing on the line, wee little Ashley, and I'm looking at the list and I'm seeing Olympic gold medalist, world champion, world record holder, 49, 49, 49. And here I am at the bottom of that list. And I'm at 50.2. That's my PR. Again, every woman.
What's PR mean?
Personal record. That's as fast as I've gone is 50.2. And I remember standing on the line, shaking in my little buns. And the gun goes off and I flinch. So they call the race back. And I hear my name in the crowd going, come on, Ashley, you can do this. You can do this. Now, mind you, all the women that I'm racing are seasoned. They've done this for years. And I'm just, I'm, again, wee little Ashley. I run 200 meters, which is half the race. And I stop. I just walk off the track. I don't finish the race. I don't cross the finish line. I don't do anything. And I remember feeling such a level of defeat where I started questioning whether or not I was even built to do this. Like, why did Nike even give me a shot? Like, I can't even finish a race. And I've been doing this race all through college. And I just felt like such a huge failure. And I remember calling my coach crying and calling my mom crying and not wanting to do it again. And the next morning I woke up and I realized that I wouldn't have had the opportunity if people didn't think I was capable of being successful. Mm-hmm. And a year later on that very track, I actually won my first Diamond League race at the Prefontaine Classic. I actually won the race. And I think what I learned from that 20 seconds I actually ran was my biggest enemy is my inner voice, because I'm the only one there that thought I was not going to be able to do it. No one in the crowd said you can't do it. No one in that crowd said, Ashley, stop, you suck. I told myself that. And, I learned at that moment that the only person standing in your way of any goal that you have is yourself. And I vowed to never allow that to happen again.
It's interesting that you say that, because that does not just relate to an athlete. That relates to all humankind. And I actually think that is one of the things that connects us, that bonds us as humans, is that our inner monologue can really take us down.
Yeah.
And and I think that it's beautiful that you made that a goal in life, to not believe it.
Yeah.
And because I know that's a goal for me in life. Mm-hmm. That shit doesn't always work though.
It don't.
I don't know about for you, but
and sometimes it don't work. I'll tell my inner voice, shut up, and it'll be like, no, you shut up. And then sometimes it doesn't work, but I feel like the more you are diligent about it,
absolutely,
the easier it'll come.
Yep, it's true. The easier it'll come. And not only that, it's kind of like your 5-6 hours of practice every day, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can just practice, even though a moment may go by where you actually believe the inner monologue, right?
Yeah.
Literally in the next moment, because that's the only thing you really got is now. Nothing else exists. I don't give a shit what anybody says, right? Like, the past is gone, the future doesn't exist. Now is it. This is the only one. We can plan for it. We can remember, we can plan for the future, but those things are gone or they've never even happened. Right. So if you can just remember, even if in the moment prior you didn't remember and you were down and you were in your head and you told yourself that you hated yourself or you were ugly or you can't do it or you can't do this race, you're a terrible person, whatever, literally in the next moment you can be like, what the hell am I talking about? I'm the shit.
Yeah,
I can do this. Like,
you're talking to me like that?
Yeah,
no way, I'm talking to me like that. Me? Absolutely. 1000%.
So, I love that. I love that was your failure, because that is something that everybody can relate to, and that's why I'm so grateful for my moments, because really that's the only currency that we have,
like right now.
Yeah, that's it. So what does the archetype strong Black woman mean to you?
That's just such a loaded question, because
I
surrounded myself with the strong Black women, right? My mom, my Nana, my coach. My Nana my Nana, she's a abuse survivor. She was really, really heavily abused by my grandfather. And when she was able to escape that with her life and her children and, build this life outside of, who she was and the woman that she grew to be. She had 3 jobs in her own business. She owned property. Like, my Nana worked till the very last moment of her life. She battled cancer for 14 months. And I actually lost her in 2014. And just watching her not give up, go from chemo to go and doing hair because that was her passion, and cook a whole Thanksgiving meal for a family that put in an order. And then my mom, she was a young mom. She had all 3 of us when she was 20 years old, and she went to college and, moved us from one part of Indianapolis to another part and built our lives. And she was at every basketball game. She was at every track meet. She was at every recital. She was at
she managed to go to work, and she managed to
exactly, like, that's strength. My coach, my head coach, she was the woman who recruited me out of high school. She has taken on the role as coach, as leader, as shoulder, as ear, as she's
responsible.
Yeah, she's everything that you need to be, especially with all of us coming from different parts of the country. So when I'm asked what is the strong Black woman, that's defined several different ways. And I love that, because there really is no cookie cutter definition of a strong Black woman. It's when people ask me what's a strong Black woman, it is what it is. That's just whatever her strength needs to be at that moment. That's what it is. That's what it looks
like. I agree with you in all that you just said. But I think that that narrative, while that is the beautiful side of the narrative, what do you think about the other side of the narrative? In some ways, in our culture, we can be very vulnerable because we're meant to be really strong, and we want to show up. And because, sometimes we got to make $1 out of 15 cents, and we got to stretch it. And your mom, she she went to every game. She made it. She made dinner. She did all the things. She was there for you when you needed your homework done or whatever.
Yep.
In some ways, do you wish that your mom didn't have to be so strong?
Absolutely. It's a blessing.
You know?
When the public, I won't even say it, like when the public looks at a Black woman, like that's the strong Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honor to be called a strong Black woman.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you.
But mentally, it's a lot. It's so much. Like there's some moments where we don't have to be put through that sort of thing to be strong, and we shouldn't have to. We have moments where it's like we don't have to be strong. We can be
because we can be.
Yeah.
And we need to be.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not strong right now. Like I can't be. I'm tired. Yeah. And I'm exhausted. Yeah. And I need a break. And I need a minute, and just give me some space, you know. I think it's okay to be vulnerable. You know, and I think that we're in a really beautiful time where we're having these types of conversations, and you know, and we're shedding light on, we're shining a light in a place where there's been a lot of darkness, and where we weren't having these conversations, you know. So I think it's a beautiful time to be alive, because you know, I mean, I consider myself a strong Black woman. I carry a lot on my back, have always. Like, in fact, I don't even know how to not. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know if you feel the same way. Like, I don't even know how to not carry like a fucking ton of bricks on my back. Not that it doesn't even feel heavy to me at this point, but sometimes that's scary.
It is. Because you feel like if you're not carrying something, there's something you need to be doing. There's something you need to handle. There's a conversation that you had, and it gets mentally tough. It's draining, it's exhausting. And just because, like, you know, just because we carry it on our back don't mean that bitch ain't heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy. Come get this. And as Black women, we should be able to unload it sometimes. We should be able to unload it as many times as we want.
Right. But the thing is we can though. Mm-hmm. We can choose to. And that's the thing. Yeah. That I think, you know, that goes back to that failure thing. You know, you can choose to believe it, or you can choose not to believe it. You can choose to be strong, or you can choose to be like, you know what, this is some bullshit. I'm not strong today.
Yep. And it's okay.
And it's cool, right? And if you can't figure it out, miss me with it. That just means it ain't meant to be. You know? No, I love that. You know, but okay, so when's the last time you were shown, you know, you've shown vulnerability, cried, had a moment where you aligned to not being quote unquote strong, where you were like, you know what, I'm not doing it, you know?
I lost my grandfather Monday night due to complicated COVID. So it's been really hard, because my grandfather was the last lifeline I had to my nana. Me and my nana was tight. Like, we were dogs. Like, regardless of what she was doing, I was right with her. And my grandfather was my last line to her. And he slipped away Monday night. And I've been trying to, you know, keep that internal, because although it's hard, I have track practice, I have a meet this week, I have weights, I have all these things going on. So coach gave me Tuesday to kind of get myself together. And then today I told my mom I had to get to the track. The track is always where I've been close to God. Like, as a God-given gift, I've always been able to just like let go of life's bothers and just, you know, push my body to the just be, I mean, track and field, especially as a hurdler, you got to be there in the moment or you're going to fall. Right. So today we actually, incidentally, we had hurdles. So I had to focus on what I was doing. And I remember just hearing something, my nana's voice, my grandfather's voice, like, Ashley, you can do this, because it got hard at some point. And I turned to my coach and I said, after this rep, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to cry. And she said, fine, but you got to do this rep correct. And I said, cool. And I hauled ass and I did it flawlessly. And I remember running to my little sister, my coach's daughter. And as soon as she got within 8 feet of me, she was like, you need to cry. And I broke. I just had to, like, I just let it just all come out, like, you know, yelling, screaming, cussing, and just, I had to let it all out. I don't normally cry in front of a crowd simply because I recognize that we're all going through our own thing. And the idea of my burden being the straw that broke your camel's back is terrifying to me. Right. But I think that today I had no choice. And what I'm grateful for, it gave me an opportunity to be vulnerable with my training partners and to show them that you're in a safe space. If you're going through something, it's okay. You can lean on us. And, you know, I'm strong, but like today I'm not.
I think that you were, even though I'm saying, like, first of all, let me back up. My condolences for your loss.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm really grateful that you would still come on and talk with me and us and everybody listening.
Of course.
Even though I'm saying, like, out of my mouth, there's a time to not be strong, I think that there is so much strength and power in choosing to not be what the quote unquote strong is. I believe that repression, especially in a moment like that, or like this, because this is fresh, this is new, this just happened.
Yeah.
I believe that it will actually help you to perform, since you're choosing to perform and to race and to do your hurdles and to be there and to still take on your life, in addition to grieving your grandfather, right? I believe that if you let it out in the moment that it comes, it will actually help you to perform better, because your body is trying to compensate for how you feel, for knowing that it has to jump these hurdles, right? For knowing that you're holding on to it, for knowing that you didn't want to say anything to anybody else, even though you need to say it. You have to say it because these people love you, they're with you, they're your partners, right? I believe that not choosing to hold it, keep it inside, makes you stronger. It makes you lighter.
Yeah.
And it allows you, I'm not trying to tell you or anybody else to do this. It's just my belief system. I never want to inflict my belief system on anybody else, because I think way different than a lot of people. But I believe that it makes you stronger. And I believe that it makes you lighter. And I believe that it makes you calmer. And it connects to the God in you, you know?
Yeah. Because I know when you let things out, it just, there's a level of calmness that just comes on you, and you're able to think clearly. You're able to, like, you are really, like, grounded in what's happening, because you have to physically calm yourself down, take some deep breaths, relax yourself. I think that's probably the best thing that everybody can do. But today, that was,
you had
all the decisions I've made today. Not holding that was the best thing I did, because then at the same time, it really allowed my new training partners to see a side of me that they've never seen. You know,
what's that feel like?
It was nice, because they've always saw me as somebody who's been fairly level-headed. I'm very silly, but very level-headed and lighthearted. You know, I am funny. And but seeing me break down like that, I think kind of humanized me, and if that makes sense. I am someone who's very emotional. I cry too, girl. So what we gonna do is cry. Okay? One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cry, and then we'll figure it out later. I'll cry when I'm mad.
Me too.
you know, because either cry or swing. So it's like I'd rather cry, you know. And I think allowing my training partners, the two new ones that we have, to see me in such a state of, you know,
Vulnerability.
vulnerability, I think kind of gave me a new level of respect for them, because they was given the opportunity to support me in a way they've never had. And just show them that you're in a safe space. You know, everybody space, you know.
Because they may have the same, anything can happen with them, and you want them to feel like they could be where they are at that moment too.
Yeah, without judgment.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So speaking of vulnerability, you as an athlete, you have to be extremely connected to your body. Absolutely. Like extremely connected.
Yeah.
How do you accept the changes in your body as you get older? Because as you get older, things change with your period, with your body, with your vagina, with just all kinds of things.
Yeah.
How do you accept the changes in your body being a human who menstruates?
It's difficult, because I've always had low self-esteem when it came to my body. I'm able to hide it because I kind of have to. My uniforms are this big and my buns are this big. So
Your what's this big?
My buns, they just about this big. And so, you know, you kind of have to have a little level of swagger when you're going to race the world's fastest women. You can't get on the line like him, Meek, and nah. That's another reason why vulnerability, especially with athletics, is so important, because when you are going through something like weight gain, stress, menstrual changes and issues and stuff like that, you have to be in an environment with a coach or a PT or somebody where you can talk about these things and work to, you know, have your body adjust to it or change it safely, which is very important.
But when you find yourself vulnerable, is it because you're comparing yourself to the other people on the track? Like, so you're self-conscious about your body. Is there a comparison thing that's happening? Are you having this inner dialogue and inner narrative that's telling you something that's holding you back? Like, what happens when that happens?
The comparison was compared to the women who I competed against. She's fast. She competes against you, but now she's beating you way, way early in the race. I'm not hitting times at I'm comparing myself to myself. This time last year, you was hitting these marks at these times, and now you're nowhere near it.
So there's a lot that you have to do. I mean, you really have to have your head in the game, like literally, not even like, I'm not even getting, that's pardon my pun, but like you really, really do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lifestyle.
It is. It's from the moment you wake up to the moment you lay your head. I mean, even through sleep, there's watches and stuff now that tracks your sleep, and you didn't sleep that well last night, you should take a nap. And it's a lot. You know, whatever.
Mind, body, soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's everything. But and it's what I try to tell young athletes, especially ones who are so like dead set on, I'm gonna leave college and I'm gonna go pro. Make sure you're mentally prepared, because there is not one moment where you can step away from it and think that like, oh, it's just that's not going to hurt in the long run, when it just might.
As you get older, you just can't do shit that you did when you were 18.
I'm telling you, we went to Mexico thinking that we're 22 again. We went to Mexico, and I mean, pardon if this is too much, but I've never had a hangover that lasted 2 days.
That's not too much. This is real. This is a real ass conversation.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm clearly not in college anymore. My 28-year-old ass don't know what I was thinking I was doing, but I promise you it won't happen again.
Yeah, it's just not even necessary.
No.
I can't get wasted. I don't even get drunk at this point. I'm working towards only drinking 2 nights a week. Like on the weekend, and then during the week I'm just water, you know, because but I'll be 40 this year. I just turned 39. I'll be 40 this year. Yes.
You look good, girl.
Thank you. But you know, but I've like made that pledge to myself because it really does slow you down.
It does.
You know, it really, really does. And I think that you can be a role model to the younger humans, especially the younger humans with vaginas that you're connected to help them understand, like, listen, because imagine if your 22-year-old self was thinking how you're thinking now.
Oh yeah.
Like, forget about it.
Yeah.
You already a monster, but you would be like, you know what I'm saying?
Monster. Absolutely.
Monstrous, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's so important to have good habits. The things that you're talking about, yes, you are a world-class athlete. I get that. That shit is dope. But the shit that you're talking about is for the everyday human who's not a world-class athlete, who may only work out or walk or do something 20 or 30 minutes a day, right? Like, these are just habits that we all can take on to be better and feel better in our lives, you know? Yeah. And so, speaking of those younger humans, right? What do you say to those humans? Because I know that you are a role model, right? And you're around humans with vaginas all the time. What do you say to them when they're ready to leave the industry, whether it's sports, you know, whatever it is, right? Because a lot of times their output is traditionally, like, their strength is valued over their vulnerability, over even their body sometimes. Yeah. And so how do you give those people advice? Because that's actually something that I really love about you, that you're really passionate about.
Thank you. The conversations that I have are just make sure whatever you decide to do is a decision that you're making. Not a decision that is dictated by somebody else. It's not a decision that's dictated by what somebody else think, because you're the one who has to look you in the mirror every single day. And whatever you see looking right back at you. Right. And the hardest thing is, again, that's that inner voice. The hardest thing is deciphering, is this a decision that I'm making that is best for me? Or is this the decision that I'm making because I've listened to this inner voice tell me I just can't do it? And I've actually had this conversation with one of my little cousins that wants to walk away from, she does 3 sports. She wants to walk away from 2 of them. You know, you don't have to answer me right now, but is this something you want to walk away from because you genuinely don't love it anymore? Or do you see Stacy hitting further than you? Do you see Jenny running faster than you? Do you see her making these tournaments and you're not? Because there's a chance that it's just not your time yet. Right. Just because it's not your time right now don't mean it's never gonna be, you know? Right. And that, talking to high school girls and college girls and even girls who are my age that just have lost direction with anything that you do, whether it's athletics or school or, you know, whatever it is, make sure you're doing it for yourself. Right. Because my biggest fear is looking back on my life and saying, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. Like that. I've never been raised to have a life of regrets. Now, like you were saying earlier, all you have is right now. And if you don't take on the right now,
all that can happen is that it doesn't work.
It's either yes or no. I mean,
right. Like, and all that can happen. Yeah.
And if you pull yourself from it before getting a yes or no, you've already decided no. But what if it was yes? What if it was yes?
Yeah. And what if it was no? What's the I was talking to my therapist and she said the illest shit to me. She was like, what would happen if the worst thing happened? Yeah. Like, you know, like when you're having this inner dialogue, what would happen? Like, she told me to close my eyes. Shout out to Paula. Shout out to her. Yeah, she's the best. and just imagine what happens if the worst case scenario, what does that look like? Yep. Okay, cool. If it happens, then what?
Yep. Because going back to when you started Honey Pot.
Yeah. I mean, it, you know, it could have went to shit. Matter of fact, sister, a lot of times it almost did, you know, and the crazy thing, having a company in this day and age, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen. You could slip up and say the wrong shit if somebody was recording it, right? You could, you know, people can voice their opinions, you know, and they may have a large following and people believe that, right? Somebody can go viral. Anything can happen at any moment.
Yep.
Anything can happen. But the beautiful thing is, which I'm grateful for, if you can just remain neutral and know that it can go either way. Yep. You can be up here at 100 one day and be down here at 0 the next day. But as long as you know that you are a survivor,
yep,
and that no matter what happens, everything's going to be all right.
Yep.
Everything's all right.
Yep.
You know, because at any moment, you know, all of us are dealing with a lot of death right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, it's interesting. It's crazy that we're reminded of it so much these days. You know, but the even crazier thing behind that is that it was always here.
Yeah.
You know, it always was bound to happen at any time. It's happening much more frequently than any of us would like, you know. But, you know, these types of scenarios are just very interesting. And I like your take on it. And I agree with you on that. I'm in your camp because I think the same way, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fuck it, let's go. Either way.
When I'm on the line and I'm looking at everybody, like, I know she gonna run fast. She gonna run fast. I'm gonna run fast. But like when I cross this line, whether I get first, second, or last, I'm not gonna get shot. So
what? You still ran the race.
I tried. Yeah.
Yep. You still ran the race.
And I think a lot of the times it's the biggest fear is the unknown. That's where the fear lies. The fear doesn't lie of whether you fail or you do it, because like failure is inevitable, just like death.
It is.
It's inevitable. I think the fear is you have convinced yourself that the worst is going to happen when you fail. And that's why people don't put themselves out there. That's why people don't do things. Yeah. It's like, oh, if I don't do it, then this person, and it's usually an outside source. This person got something to say, or this person is going to say, this person going to say, I told you so. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're the one.
At the end of the day. Yeah. What does the role of vulnerability mean to you in the role of an athlete, in the career of an athlete?
Oh man, everything. I love the saying, life don't work unless you do. But when it comes to an athlete, it takes a village. My coach is not doing her job, I can't be successful. If my PT is not doing their job.
What's a PT?
Oh, physical therapist. If they're not doing their job, keeping my body together, I mean, I can't be successful. If my agent's not doing their job, can't be successful. And so when it comes to my coach, everybody plays their different role. When it comes to an athlete and their coach, you got to make sure that your coach knows where your body is, your mental, your confidence. And you got to be able to have that level of communication. And luckily, I've been with my same coach since I was 17 years old when I was in college.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this about Coach Bailey, but when she was on the circuit back in the 90s, my aunt had actually raced her a couple times. And my aunt was my high school coach, and she wanted me to research different coaches, and I found Coach Bailey. Yeah. And I knew.
I love that she made you research coaches for you.
Yeah. She was like, what do you want in a coach? And you need to find that in a coach. And the relationship that I have with Coach Bailey is it's rare and it's special, because not only is she my coach, she plays the role of mom, because my mom is in Indianapolis. So when my grandfather died, she was here in this house with crying and everything. And I was able to allow myself to I wasn't Ashley. I wasn't athlete Ashley. I wasn't world champ Ashley. I wasn't Olympic bronze Ashley. I was just Ashley. And she allowed me to be that. and communicating with her from Monday night to today, and like, Ashley, how you doing? How's your mental? That's been refreshing, because she's able to help me through that. And I think that a lot of athletes don't have that when it comes to that level of vulnerability that you can have with your coach. And I think that is heartbreaking, because I'm a firm believer on that plays a major role with your success on and off the track. Especially as an athlete who menstruates, we all know that when it comes to a menstrual cycle, it really does play a huge role in your day to day for however long it happens.
However long you bleed. Yeah,
you got your cravings, you got your PMS, you got your bloating, you got your fatigue, you got your cramps. It's the whole package, and it doesn't stop because you're an athlete.
It doesn't
stop. It's in my opinion, it's kind of worse, but and being able to have that conversation, like, coach, my cramps are whooping my ass, and hey, you gotta train.
Yeah, there's not really much you can do about it. You know why though? That's dope, because what happens if you're racing and it's the real thing and it's prime time and you got your cycle? You got to know how to get through it.
Yep, you have to. And a lot of the conversation we had before, where there has been female athletes who have been condemned because their period cramps are so severe that they just can't. And it happens. It absolutely happens. And the unfortunate thing is, like, it's not understood by people who don't menstruate that it happens.
Yeah.
And even being able to share that and be vulnerable with the fan base, and then the fear of not being understood, like she wasn't, is always back of people's minds. So we have to hide it. Like, what's wrong? What happened in this race? You number one in the world and you came fifth. What happened?
I don't know. I
would be like, I had cramps. That's just me, though.
But especially if you have, if you're an athlete and you have endometriosis, or you have fibroids, or you have PCOS, or you have a real condition that will really put you down, what do they do in those circumstances? Do you know any humans that are dealing with those things?
I don't, but it's probably not because no one is dealing with them. It's just probably because
keep it to themselves.
Exactly, because these types of conversations aren't happening, and it happens.
So you probably do know people that have it, but they're just not saying anything.
Not saying anything, because it's going to be. I think this is my own personal opinion. I think it's the fear of they're going to think I'm using that as a crutch. My period cramps, it hurts, but I'm not going to race because I'm using it as a crutch. Which, no, the women that I know don't care. We're going to grind until the wheels fall off, and if period cramp or not, because the women of Team USA, the USATF, and the women who I've competed against and with, we want to be the best, whatever that looks like,
Right.
And you're right. I probably know several women who deal with it, but we wouldn't know because these conversations aren't happening.
Wow. How do we make them happen?
We started. See, I'm somebody who, if I want to talk about it, I'm gonna talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. I'll find somebody who wants to talk about it. But this is a conversation that is inclusive to everybody, because everybody plays a role in track and field. Everybody knows someone who menstruates, supports somebody who menstruates. If you're here on this planet, you know somebody who menstruates, right?
Yeah.
So it's
even if you don't know somebody, half the planet does.
Okay, you can't throw a rock without hitting somebody.
Yeah.
Who menstruates. And it's I think as easy as we have a conversation about the weather or a rule and regulation when it comes to in my world, a block start or a false start or whatever, if this is an issue, then it needs to be addressed. And I'm starting to see little conversations between athletes of USATF and this particular conversation. Like I believe Colleen Quigley actually had a Instagram post about her menstrual cycle,
Mm-hmm.
where she talked about having a period and my menstrual cramps, and talked about how it affected her training, something along those lines. And it was really refreshing to see, because like, here you are, you have 100 and 200 some thousand followers, and you're being open and honest to your fan base, which,
Isn't it so silly though?
yes,
Because everybody's here because of a vagina.
yes, and we're here to talk about it. It's weird.
It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Mhm.
So how do you redefine strength in honor of your vulnerability, in honor of not wanting to be strong, which means that you actually are strong because you're willing to admit it, in honor of taking a moment and being like, I need to cry. Like, yeah. I'm gonna do this, but like after I do what I came here to do, I need a minute. After us having this conversation, how do you want to continue to honor that?
I want to be an inspiration, because just because I'm an athlete, just because I'm a singer, I'm an actress, I'm whatever, doesn't mean that life doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
And when life happens to me, it's okay. I'm going to show diligence, and I'm going to move towards my goals every chance I get. And so can you.
Yeah. And so should you.
And so should you.
Who cares, man? Nothing to be ashamed
your wig back down and
keep it moving. Maybe you just need to sew that shit down a little better next time. So last question. How do you create a safe space? Which is probably some of what you just said. But how do you continue to create a safe space for your community?
I try to be the example. Like today at the track, as much as I wanted to hold it in, I had to let it out, but it felt good. Mm-hmm. And I want to not only show the women who I train with, who I grind with every single day, that the space that you're in is a safe space, whether you need to laugh, cry, kick, scream, throw some punches, whatever. But I open up a dialogue between them. I open up a dialogue between, my fan base. And I use this because, like, I'm just a person.
I'm the same way. I'm the
fan. Yeah. I'm little Ashley from Indiana that just so happens to run
You're a human. Yeah.
I try to create a dialogue between whomever needs it, to, like, if your cross is too heavy to bear, like, let me hold it for a second. Let's talk. How can I help you? Like, this is my personal experience. Oh, I went through that. Let me tell you how I handled it. It may not work for you, but let me tell you how I handled it. Let me tell you where your mental should be, that sort of thing. I think that's important. Being able to, have these conversations with people who look up to you is going to be more of an impact than winning this medal. And the medals are great. Don't get me wrong. The medals are great. But I'm only on the track for 50 some seconds, but I'm asking Spencer 24/7. Yeah. And if I can give you a piece of me, whether it's just for a moment or for as long as you need it, I think that I will, I'll serve my time on this earth the best I can, being that person to someone who needs it. Does that make sense? That was very wordy.
Okay. No, words are good sometimes.
Okay. Cool.
And they mean things, and I'm grateful that you would share space with me
y'all
for this hour. Thank you so much for sharing about your grandfather, his transition. I pray that it is a peaceful one for him, and I pray that you and your family can get through it peacefully, And I appreciate you being vulnerable and being open and being willing. Thank you so much.
Oh, I've looked forward to this all day. So I thank y'all for allowing me to come on here and share my story. It was great.
Thank you. We're really grateful for your time.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself, Ash. Oh, I'm here if you need to talk to. I'm around.
I'm gonna cry. I might call you to cry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's important to cry,
Yeah. It's hard.
It is. But everything's going to be okay.
Thank you.
Everything's going to be okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I love you. And I'm grateful for you.
Me too. Hopefully we speak soon.